never seen a guy like Wemby on it. Yes, you have. His name is Bol Bol.
Struggle with the NBA three is Bol with the ball fake, flies in for the shot clock.
Gotta shoot it.
Bol lets it fly. Boom!
That's too easy to layup. They've missed.
Durant sees an opening. Not sure if that was it.
And so here we go again. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And before I go ahead and get started, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel and you enjoy the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. So last night, Bol Bol finally saw some action. He saw some action against the Houston Rockets, in which he put up 25 points, 14 boards, 1 block, and 1 steal, while shooting 64% from the field and 66% from the three-point line. And in case some of y'all think that this is a game that was somewhat of an aberration, it wasn't. Because Bol Bol's PER over 36 minutes, meaning if Bol Bol actually got starters minutes, his numbers would be 19 points a game, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal, while shooting 66% from the field and 40% from three. And those are borderline all-star numbers. Those are all-star stats. And so the only problem is he's not getting starter minutes. He's not getting any minutes at all, actually, despite having the third best PER on the team, right behind KD and Devin Booker. And for those of y'all who don't know what PER is the golden analytics measurement that they use to dictate a player's true value, their true value to winning basketball. And so we have to ask ourselves, why is Bol Bol not getting minutes? You're talking about somebody who's an athletic freak of nature out there. I think he's got damn near an 8-foot wingspan. Can jump, can shoot, can dribble. He can do all of the same things as Victor Wembanyama. And then on top of that, he's highly entertaining, and he's shown that he can play winning basketball. And I posted a video a while back when Bol Bol first signed to the Suns. And I posed the question then, why was that the only team that was willing to sign him? And back when I did that video, I hinted at the possibility that the NBA didn't want any real competition for the likes of Victor Wembanyama. And when I say competition, I'm not talking about just on the basketball court. That's only half of the game. The other part of the game is merchandising, branding, and then, of course, politics.
It's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, that I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in the book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from.
And so let's put our tinfoil hats on here for a little bit. Just a second. Because if we look at it, if we look over the past couple of decades, the NBA has made a concerted effort to bring in non-USA basketball players. Or better yet, non-black USA basketball players. And so now we're starting to see those efforts finally come into fruition. Almost all of the top young players in the NBA are from overseas, and that's not by coincidence. And so you might ask yourselves, why would the NBA want to do this? What's in it for them? What would be the point? Well, several reasons, but the most obvious reason, or at least to me, is that the NBA doesn't want another Kyrie Irving situation, or better yet, another Colin Kaepernick situation like the NFL had to deal with. Because even if some of these NBA players, some of these overseas players that they're bringing in, even if they're black, they're not black Americans. And a lot of them don't necessarily have the same spirit as black Americans. A lot of them don't have that history, or that long history at least, of standing up to social injustice and just injustice in general. And you can say that almost in every area and every facet of entertainment. And so at the root of it, at the root of the NBA, as well as the NFL for that matter, not wanting black Americans in the game, it comes down to control.
The NFL thinks they can get the best athletes in Europe to play football, American football. This is Loughborough, a town of 100,000 people in the middle of England. 2 hours outside of London, this is where the NFL is planning on finding and developing hidden gems from all around the world. And it's kind of already working. See, interest in American football has grown dramatically overseas in the past few decades, but the infrastructure to support and develop elite athletes outside of the US has never really been there. So in 2019, the NFL decided to bolster their International Player Pathways program with an elite football development academy for high school age kids. So they set up shop in England and modeled a school after the style of European soccer academies and American sport high schools like IMG. The academy is open to kids from all over the world via a tryout and interview system, but in its 4 years of existence, most of the players come from the UK, Germany, and Africa. The aim of the school is simple: help develop these kids as football players and leaders and get them college scholarships. 20 academy graduates are on NCAA rosters this year, and big-time programs are starting to notice the talent, as the academy has become the perfect buffer for raw athletes with huge upside that still need actual game experience and film before they can make it.
They want to be able to have complete control over the product, and their product is the players. But when it comes to Bol Bol, that's not quite it. That's only half the story as it pertains to Bol Bol, because Bol Bol is in a category all unto himself in this regard. And so stay with me here. Bol Bol is the son of Manute Bol, who happens to be a former player in the NBA. And is one of the tallest player, actually the tallest player to ever play in the NBA at 7'7". You're talking about a giant amongst giants. And I never got a chance to see Bol Bol play all that much, but by all accounts, he was a solid player and probably one of the best defensive players of his time. And by all accounts, he was somebody that was well respected and well liked.
I remember a time when Manute Bol was naked in the locker room, and they had this little guy, and he had the microphone way up here, and he was right around Manute Bol's private, right?
Yeah.
And Manute Bol looked down, and Manute Bol had Johnson like this, and looked down at him, and hits him on the bottom of the head. And, Pow! He said, "Don't you look at that? That belongs to my wife. That belongs to my wife." So, and then.
He's blocking shots on and off the court.
Yeah. So he was the only one. Hey, Jesse, he was the only one that can drink beer full time because he was 7'7" and he only weighed about 190 pounds. So they let him drink Heineken all day.
Yeah.
Manute Bol was drunk all day long. I remember he would walk around with a Heineken, not even like, in the hood, we at least got to put a bag on it, right?
Yeah.
He would walk through the hotel, into the locker, during the game. I'm serious.
And so aside from being this larger-than-life man on the court, you're talking about somebody that was even bigger off the court. Because Manute Bol did something no other NBA player has ever done, and no NBA player will ever do. Over the course of a 10-year playing career, Manute Bol donated his entire salary to his people in Sudan. I believe it was close to $6 million in total earnings. And that's a lot, especially for the time that he played in. That's unheard of. And so that's why I said he did something that nobody's done and nobody ever will do again. And so now some of y'all can see where I'm going with this. Because that's the real problem. At the root of it, that's the real issue. Don't think for 1 minute that the people that hand out these contracts don't pay attention to things like that. They don't pay attention to how players spend their money. It's one thing if these players are buying gold chains, cars, and houses and things like that. That's one thing. But it's something else entirely when you have a player that's investing in their community and donating their entire salary to a particular community. That's an issue. That's the real problem. And I'm not talking about somebody like a LeBron James who happens to open up a charter school in his hometown and the taxpayers are on the hook for the majority of the cost. I'm not talking about that. That's more of a publicity stunt than anything. That's not really fixing any major issues. And so they'll promote somebody like that. But what Manute Bol did, that's something else entirely. When you got somebody of a Michael Jordan status or LeBron status or what Victor Wembanyama is projected to be, when you have somebody like that, somebody of that status investing in the community, you're talking about somebody that could change the landscape overnight. Not to mention a domino effect that it could have, not only in sports, but in all branches of entertainment. Imagine if you had all of these athletes and entertainers investing in their communities. Just think for a second, what would that look like? And so there's no reason why Bol Bol shouldn't be getting real minutes. And after I put out my first video, after that first video circulated around, Shaq actually, he backtracked a little bit from his previous statements. He came out and said that the real reason why Bol Bol isn't playing is because that Bol Bol is lazy. Now that's funny. That's hilarious, actually, coming from somebody like Shaq. Shaq was notoriously lazy when it came to the game of basketball and when it came to work ethic and conditioning. There's no reason why Shaq shouldn't have led the NBA in rebounds. At least once. The entire time Shaq played, as big as he is, as athletic as he is, as strong as he is, he didn't lead the league in rebounding once. Hakeem did it. Rodman did it. KG did it. Mutombo did it. And so why couldn't Shaq? He couldn't do it because he was lazy. He didn't have the will to do it. And that's no disrespect to Shaq. He's still one of the greatest centers to ever play the game. But it is what it is. And so calling any player lazy, like I said, that's funny coming from Shaq. But we all know why Shaq backtracked. If he wants those Dollar General checks and those Papa John's checks to keep coming in, he better stay in his lane. And y'all know what I'm talking about. And so even with the game the other night like Bol Bol had, I don't expect, any significant increase in minutes or any increase in the role that he has with the team right now, unless somebody gets injured. And that's the whole reason why he even played last night, I believe, because somebody was injured, somebody that he should be playing over regardless. And so they had to play him. But like I said, I don't expect Bol Bol to get any real minutes anytime soon, because he comes from that lineage. He comes from the lineage of a man that gave away his entire NBA earnings to his people. That's a major threat. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he can get, a legit shot and maybe he can make something happen. But let me know how y'all feel on this one in the comments below. And as usual, peace and chaos.